Have you ever felt exhausted from being too nice? Always saying yes, always forgiving, always giving people another chance, even when they've shown you who they really are. There's a dark side to kindness, and most men never talk about it. You've been taught that kindness is strength, that real men endure silently. But when kindness lacks boundaries, it turns into a weapon, used against you. Too many good men are being drained emotionally, manipulated silently, and disrespected regularly, all in the name of being kind. That's not emotional self-respect, that's self-erasure. The Stoics never said, be kind to everyone. They said, be kind, but be discerning. They valued peace, but not at the cost of being used. They walked away from what was beneath their dignity, without guilt, without anger. In this video, we'll break the myth that kindness means weakness. We'll expose the signs you're being emotionally taken advantage of, and show you how to set firm boundaries without losing your integrity. You'll learn how to stop being used, how to protect your energy, and how to be kind without being a doormat. Most of all, you'll discover how Stoic wisdom can help you reclaim quiet strength and give only where it grows. If you've ever felt tired from giving too much, you're not alone, and you don't have to stay stuck. Hit like, subscribe, and let's uncover the true power of intentional kindness, Stoic style. 1. Discern who deserves your kindness. Not everyone is worthy of your kindness, and deep down, you already know that. You've felt it before, that quiet weight in your chest after helping someone who never says thank you, that drained silence after staying up late to solve someone else's chaos, only to be ignored the next day. You thought you were doing the right thing, but all it did was teach them that your time, your energy, your peace can be taken without cost. Kindness, when misdirected, becomes a silent agreement. You give, they take. That's not generosity, that's emotional imbalance. We've been told that being a good man means being available, always lending a hand, always forgiving. But when you give without discernment, you're not being kind, you're being used. And the worst part is, it doesn't look like weakness on the surface. It looks like patience, it looks like compassion. But inside, it rots your sense of self-respect. It chips away at your clarity. Stoic philosophy makes no room for blind kindness. Marcus Aurelius didn't preach unconditional softness. He preached discipline. He believed in doing good, but only if that good aligned with reason. He knew that enabling someone's irresponsibility is not a virtue. It's neglect of your own value. Let's be blunt. If someone keeps returning to your kindness with the same selfish patterns, the problem is no longer just them. It's your failure to close the gate. You don't need to hate them. You don't need to call them out. You just need to stop pouring into a broken cup, because eventually you become the one cracked and empty. There was a man I once knew, smart, capable, deeply loyal. He had a cousin who always called when in trouble, money, favors, bailouts, year after year, and every time this man showed up. Why? Because he said, it's family. What else am I supposed to do? But each time he gave, his own business suffered, his relationships are strained, his sleep was eaten by someone else's fire, and nothing changed except him. He became bitter, worn out, and quietly angry at himself for allowing it. And when he finally stopped answering the calls, do you know what happened? Nothing. The cousin found someone else to lean on. Life moved on. But for the first time in years, he felt peace. Not guilt, not shame, just peace. Stoicism teaches that peace is a form of strength, not surrender. Choosing where your kindness goes isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You protect the good in you by not giving it to those who destroy it. Still, many resist this idea. They say, isn't that selfish? No, it's strategic. You are not a limitless source. Your kindness must serve a higher purpose: growth, healing, respect, not emotional convenience for others. The mistake most people make is confusing kindness with obligation. They assume being kind means giving endlessly, especially to those who cry the loudest. But some cries are manipulative, some needs are habitual, and some relationships are built on imbalance disguised as loyalty. The Stoics would urge you, observe, don't react, pause before you give. Ask yourself, will this help them rise or will it help them repeat? And if the answer is the latter, withdraw, not in anger, but in wisdom. Kindness is not meant to drain you. It's meant to strengthen those who receive it with gratitude, but only if you give it where it can land, take root, and grow. So start here. Notice who lights up after you support them, and who vanishes when your kindness runs dry. The difference is everything. And from now on, give your empathy like a farmer planting seeds. Choose your soil, water wisely, expect growth, not dependency. That's not just kindness, that's Stoic compassion, disciplined, deliberate, and worthy of your strength. 2. Stop pleasing those who drain you. You don't owe anyone your peace, not your coworkers, not your childhood friends, not even your own family. Respect is not earned by how much you tolerate, it's earned by how clearly you define your limits. Being agreeable may win you approval, but it will cost you your energy, your clarity, and eventually your identity. People-pleasing is often mistaken for kindness, but they are not the same. Kindness is rooted in strength. People-pleasing is rooted in fear. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of not being liked. And when fear dictates your generosity, you're not serving others, you're abandoning yourself. Think back to the last time you said yes when every part of you wanted to say no. Not because you wanted to help, but because you didn't want to upset them. Not because it felt right, but because you were afraid of what would happen if you didn't. That moment wasn't an act of virtue. It was quiet self-betrayal. And the worst part? Most people don't notice it until the exhaustion hits, until the smiles feel forced, until you're so drained, you start resenting the very people you tried to please. The Stoics saw this clearly. They believed in harmony, but not submission. Marcus Aurelius wrote of doing your duty with integrity, not as a slave to other people's moods. Seneca warned of wasting your time, the most precious thing, on things that didn't align with your purpose. To them, sacrificing your peace to keep others comfortable was not a virtue. It was weakness disguised as decency. I remember watching a man, respected, always composed, slowly unravel. He worked long hours, then spent his weekends running errands for people who never lifted a finger for him. He answered every call. He attended to every request. And when he finally broke down from burnout, no one stepped up to help. They just asked why he wasn't available. That's the danger of being too available. People get used to your sacrifice. They start to expect it. And when you stop giving, they accuse you of changing. But you're not the one who changed. They just got comfortable draining you. There's nothing wrong with helping others, but when you give from a place of fear or guilt or habit, you're not being kind. You're being controlled. Real kindness requires choice. It's not about being liked. It's about acting from strength, not reaction. You don't need to be harsh to set boundaries. You just need to be clear. You don't need to explain why you're unavailable. You just need to be consistent. So stop trying to please everyone, especially the ones who never meet you halfway. Start observing how people respond when you stop overextending. Watch who respects your space and who guilts you for pulling back. That's all the clarity you need. You're not here to be emotionally available to everyone at all times. You're not a lifeline. You're a human being with limits, with needs, with purpose. The mistake most people make is thinking that saying no is cruel, but the truth is, saying yes when you're breaking inside is even crueler to yourself. The Stoics would tell you, don't outsource your inner peace for social approval. Don't dilute your life to fit inside someone else's expectations. Live deliberately. Give deliberately. Start with small steps. Don't reply right away to the message that makes your chest tighten. Cancel the favor that ruins your weekend. Say, I'm not available without a 5-sentence apology. The world won't collapse, but something inside you will rise. Your dignity. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming conscious. It's about making sure your kindness is strong enough to serve without sacrificing you. It's about reclaiming the strength that was never in loud reactions, but in calm refusals. That's how you stop being drained. That's how you start being free. 3. Saying no is sometimes the highest form of kindness. Real kindness doesn't always look soft. Sometimes it looks like walking away. Sometimes it sounds like silence. Sometimes it's a firm no delivered without apology. And that, more often than not, is where true strength begins. Saying no isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's how you protect your energy, your time, your peace. When you choose not to indulge a pattern that keeps repeating, you're not withholding love. You're creating space for growth, yours and theirs. Kindness without accountability is dangerous. It allows people to remain unchanged. It cushions them from the consequences they need to face. It feeds their comfort, but starves their conscience. That's not love, that's indulgence. When someone continues to lie, manipulate, or disrespect your limits, and you keep saying yes in the name of being a good person, you're not helping them. You're helping them stay the same. And worse, you are eroding your own self-respect in the process. The fear that saying no will make you look harsh is planted early. Most men are raised to believe that good character means endless tolerance, that kindness means constant availability. But endurance without clarity is not noble, it's destructive. It teaches others that your silence is permission, that your generosity is endless, that your values are flexible. Over time, this breeds resentment. Not just toward them, but toward yourself for allowing it. Stoic philosophy draws a clear line here. A Stoic is not indifferent, he is discerning. He doesn't turn away from people because he doesn't care. He turns away because he sees that continuing to enable someone is no longer aligned with reason or integrity. Saying no is not an act of pride or revenge, it is an act of emotional discipline. It says, I am responsible for how I love, and I will not let that love become fuel for someone's dysfunction. Many people confuse boundaries with rejection, but a boundary isn't about pushing someone out, it's about protecting what's within. It's a line drawn not out of anger, but clarity. And when that line is respected, relationships grow stronger. When it's violated and you continue without change, resentment becomes inevitable. Refusing to participate in someone's self-destructive cycle doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. You don't fix people by carrying their weight for them. You don't teach maturity by removing every consequence. Growth demands discomfort, and sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is step back and let someone feel it. In Stoicism, restraint is strength, action without reaction, distance without drama, saying no without needing to explain yourself 10 times over. When your decisions come from clarity, not guilt, you don't need approval, you need alignment. And when you start making choices that align with your peace, you stop apologizing for protecting it. Still, it's common to feel guilt when you start saying no, especially if your kindness has been used as currency for connection. You worry people will leave. You worry they'll call you selfish. But if your presence depended on you abandoning yourself, it was never respect. It was a transaction. You are not here to be agreeable at the cost of your dignity. You are not here to absorb the consequences others refuse to face. You are not responsible for anyone's growth but your own. When you say no with intention, with calm, with conviction, you reclaim your energy and you remind others that your kindness is not blind. Make it a habit. The next time you feel that familiar pull to say yes out of guilt, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this love? Or is this fear? Then choose what strengthens you. That's not withdrawal, that's mastery. That's how kindness transforms from something easily used into something quietly unshakable. 4. Boundaries are not cruel. They are necessary. Kindness means nothing if it has no walls to protect it. You can have the best intentions, the softest heart, the most generous spirit, but if you allow everyone access, someone will walk in with dirty feet and wipe themselves on your soul. That's not just disrespect, that's the result of missing boundaries. And no amount of goodwill can make up for the damage that it creates. A boundary is not a wall to keep people out. It's a gate that filters what gets in. It's not cruel, it's clarity. And a man without clarity is not respected, he's used. Again and again, people respect what you protect, they question what you tolerate. The problem is, many men are afraid that drawing a line makes them cold. They think saying enough means giving up on people. But when you refuse to set limits, you're not helping them grow. You're teaching them to ignore consequences. And that's not kindness. That's emotional neglect of both yourself and them. Real boundaries aren't loud. They don't require arguments or explanations. They are simply living. When you stop over-explaining, when you stop making space for chaos, when you stop saying yes just to keep the peace, that's when people begin to see what you truly stand for. Not out of anger, but out of integrity. The fear of being seen as unkind keeps many men stuck. They let the guilt eat away at their voice. But guilt is not a guide, it's a trap, especially when it comes from being too available for too long. You are not responsible for how others feel about your standards. You are responsible for holding them. In the Stoic mind, Boundaries are not emotional reactions, they are rational protections. Epictetus taught that we must take care of our own minds above all else, because if we lose command of it, everything else follows. That includes our peace, our energy, our sense of control. You cannot be a calm man, a powerful man, if your life has no structure. And structure is born from limits. Some people will leave when you set boundaries. Let them. They were only there because your silence allowed them to be. And when silence ends, so do false connections. That's not a loss, that's liberation. It's easy to assume that the more open you are, the more loved you'll be. But love that only survives when you have no lines is not love. It's convenience. And when your kindness requires you to constantly lower your standards, shrink your voice, and carry emotional weight that was never yours to begin with, that's not generosity. That's surrender. Stoicism shows us that true power lies not in pleasing others, but in standing quietly in what we know is right. A Stoic doesn't need to convince anyone. He simply lives by principle. And when people see that your time, your peace, your presence, your kindness have a structure, they either adjust or they disappear. And both are good outcomes. You can't help everyone, but you can stop hurting yourself for those who won't change. So let the new version of kindness begin with discipline. Say less. Observe more. Let your actions show what you accept and what you no longer allow. When someone tests your boundary, don't react. Hold it. Hold it like a man who knows his worth doesn't need validation, because he lives by a quiet rule. Kindness without limits is sacrifice, not virtue. Begin today with something simple. Say no where you've always said yes. End a conversation that goes nowhere. Stop explaining yourself to someone who never listens. Each of these is a line drawn not in anger but in wisdom. And when you draw that line, the world around you starts to shift. Not because it respects you more, but because you finally started respecting yourself. 5. Don't chase those who choose to walk away. People leaving is not always a loss. Sometimes it's relief in disguise. Not everyone who exits your life deserves to be followed, reasoned with, or begged to stay. When someone shows you through silence, withdrawal, or manipulation that they have no respect for your value, the most powerful thing you can do is let them go. With grace, with clarity, without noise. We're taught that chasing is proof of care, that trying harder is a sign of love. But there's a thin line between care and compulsion, between loyalty and emotional dependence. Stoicism draws that line with precision. You don't cling to what walks away. You stand where you are and remain unmoved. Because what walks away from truth, from boundaries, from mutual respect, was never meant to stay. The fear of loss makes men make foolish decisions. They give more to those who give less. They explain themselves to people who've already made up their minds. They keep a door open for someone who slammed it and walked out, and they confuse this pain for love. But it's not love. It's a fear of being alone with your own worth, something Stoicism urges us to embrace, not escape. When you chase someone who disrespects your standards, you're not trying to win them. You're abandoning yourself. You're lowering your boundaries to keep someone who couldn't rise to meet them. That's not a connection. That's a compromise, and it always comes at the cost of your peace. A man I once coached spent years trying to fix a friendship that had already dissolved. He made the calls, sent the texts, gave forgiveness that was never asked for, showed up where he wasn't welcome, all in the hope that things would go back to how they used to be. But nothing changed, except him. His confidence shrank, his clarity vanished, and eventually he realized that what he missed was not the person, but the version of himself that didn't chase. The Stoics teach that attachment to external outcomes is the root of suffering. You can love someone and still release them. You can care deeply and still refuse to beg. That's not cruelty. That's a strength. Because when you hold firm while others walk, you're not losing them. You're proving to yourself that your value doesn't depend on their approval. Too many men build identities around being needed. They fear what happens when they stop giving, stop pleasing, stop chasing. But that fear is a lie. What's left when you stop performing isn't emptiness, it's power. The kind of inner stillness Stoicism is built on. You are not meant to chase after people who choose distance over respect. Your energy is sacred. Your peace is earned. When someone walks away, it's not your job to run after them. It's your role to observe, to understand what their exit reveals, to protect your boundary without building bitterness. You don't owe anyone more than clarity. If they return, they do so on new terms. If they don't, you let silence do what words never could. What does this look like in action? It looks like pausing before reaching out again. It looks like you deleted the message you wrote at 1 a.m. It looks like showing up fully for people who show up for you, and withdrawing from those who ghost your efforts. It looks like choosing dignity over closure. The common mistake is believing that persistence will fix distance, that if you keep proving your worth, they'll recognize it. But you don't prove your worth to those who ignore it. You live it, quietly, consistently, confidently. And in doing so, you send a message stronger than any plea: I will not abandon myself to keep you close. The Stoic man doesn't chase, he stands. He accepts what leaves. He pours his energy into what stays. And he understands that sometimes losing someone who doesn't value your boundaries is not a loss, it's a realignment. So if they walk, let them. If they pause, don't wait. And if they return, meet them at your new standard. That's how you protect your peace. That's how you stop being used. And that's how you live with quiet strength, rooted, not chasing. 6. Being used is not the same as being useful. Being helpful feels good until it doesn't. Until the silence after you give becomes normal. Until the favors become routine. Until your name only appears when someone needs something. That's when you realize you're not being appreciated, you're being used. And the worst part is how long it takes to admit that truth to yourself. Men are conditioned to serve, to be dependable, to say, I've got it, even when they're exhausted. You think being useful means being valuable. You think if people need you, they won't leave you. But what starts as generosity often morphs into quiet resentment. And by the time you notice, you've become the fallback, not the foundation. Stoicism helps cut through that illusion. To be useful is to contribute with purpose, to add strength where it's needed. But to be used is different. It's a pattern where your kindness is expected, not respected. It's when your help is taken, your time is consumed, but your humanity is ignored. The Stoics would say, you are not born to serve everyone. You are born to live in accordance with nature, with reason, with dignity. You are not here to be drained. One man I worked with was always the problem solver in his group. The one who answered at midnight, covered bills, helped with moves, lent his tools, his truck, his time. For years, he told himself he was just being kind. But when he faced his own hardship, silence. Nobody showed up. Nobody asked how he was. That's when it hit him. He was never part of a circle of support. He was just a convenience. That moment broke something in him, but it also woke him up. He stopped offering himself to people who only saw him as an option. He didn't announce it. He didn't get bitter. He just stopped playing the role. And in the space that was created, real friendships appeared. People who didn't need him, just respected him. The mistake most people make is confusing usefulness with approval. You believe that if you're useful enough, you'll be valued. But real value is not built on utility. It's built on mutual respect. Being used often feels like love in disguise because it wears the mask of trust, of closeness, of reliance. But love doesn't drain you. Love restores. Being used only takes. And once you're emptied, the users move on without pause. Stoicism doesn't romanticize self-sacrifice. It disciplines it. It teaches that what you give must align with who you are. You don't give because you're afraid of being left out. You give because you've decided, freely, consciously, that your energy will elevate the moment, not enable dysfunction. So how do you tell the difference? Look at the pattern. Do people come around only when they want something? Do they vanish after their needs are met? Do they only hear yes from you and disappear when you say no? That's not a connection, that's consumption. To stop being used, you don't need to become hard. You need to become selective. Not everyone deserves your extra mile. Not everyone is entitled to your midnight. Not every cry for help is a call to action. Let your kindness be precise. Let your support be earned. Let your presence be intentional. And when you pull back, don't explain. Watch who notices. Watch who reaches out without needing anything. Those are your people. And even if it's only a few, they are enough. Being kind is a strength, but being used is a weakness disguised as virtue. If your kindness doesn't lead to mutual respect, you're not being kind, you're being consumed. Start with one change. The next time someone asks you for something, pause. Ask yourself if this request honors your peace or exploits your silence. Say yes only when your body, your mind, and your time agree. That's how you stop being used. That's how you become useful again, on your terms, with boundaries, with dignity, with quiet strength. 7. Preserve the energy behind your kindness. Kindness loses its power when it comes from an empty place. You can't pour from a dry well and call it compassion. What you give others must never cost you the core of who you are. Because the moment your kindness starts draining you more than it strengthens anyone else, it stops being a virtue. It becomes self-neglect in disguise. And too many men carry this quiet fatigue like armor. They wake up tired, not from effort, but from the invisible weight of always being the one who shows up, holds steady, says yes. And they call it strength, but it's really erosion. Stoicism doesn't celebrate depletion. It respects discipline. A Stoic doesn't give endlessly, he gives wisely. He knows that his energy is not infinite. He understands that his peace is not optional. And he chooses to preserve his strength not out of selfishness, but out of responsibility. Because if you crumble under the weight of your own kindness, you become no help to anyone, not even yourself. Too often people confuse burning out with being good. They believe that exhaustion is the price of love, that self-sacrifice equals character. But love built on exhaustion collapses. Character formed from guilt can't endure. Giving should come from fullness, not fatigue. And when it doesn't, resentment grows in the shadow of every forced favor, every unspoken expectation, every yes that should have been a no. Preserving your energy begins with clarity. You need to know what recharges you, what depletes you, and who crosses that line too often. When you feel that familiar ache, tight chest, short patience, mental fog, it's not random. It's a signal. Your boundaries have been breached again. And it didn't happen in a loud moment. It happened in the 100 quiet compromises you made while calling it kindness. The Stoics believe that your time, your attention, your emotional presence, those are sacred. You don't give them to everyone. You don't spread them thin. You guard them. Because your life is shaped by what you allow to drain you, and no man who is constantly drained can remain steady in the face of chaos. Protecting your energy is not about escape. It's about stewardship. You don't disappear from the world. You learn when to engage and when to hold back. You don't isolate, you filter. You don't stop caring. You start caring more precisely. This means saying no without guilt. It means pausing before you agree. It means asking yourself, will this bring peace or will it leave me hollow? Not everything that asks for your help deserves your yes. Not every cry for attention is your responsibility to answer. You are not obligated to respond to every need, especially when it comes at the cost of your stability. What often keeps men trapped is the fear of judgment, the worry that pulling back makes them cold, selfish, and indifferent. But pulling back isn't rejection, it's self-respect. It's the quiet understanding that your mind, your rest, and your emotional strength are not resources to be spent recklessly. They are assets to be guarded. A Stoic man knows that the ability to hold the line, to say, I will not give beyond what's true to me, is not weakness, it's wisdom. He does not perform kindness to be liked. He practices it with clarity because he knows his limits and values his worth. If you feel resentful, drained, unseen, don't ask how to give more. Ask where you've given too much and begin reclaiming it. Not in anger, not in revenge, but in silence, in resolve, in the quiet decision to preserve what makes you whole. Because in the end, your kindness should not be your burden, it should be your strength. And that strength only grows when you protect its source. Say less, give slower, rest more, and let your calm become your boundary. That is how real men carry their kindness, not as a wound, but as power. Kindness is a gift. But like all powerful gifts, it must be handled with wisdom. You've seen how kindness without boundaries becomes exhaustion. How people-pleasing turns into emotional self-neglect. And how being too nice opens the door for manipulation. What we explored today wasn't about turning cold, it was about turning clear. Stoic philosophy reminds us that strength and compassion are not opposites. In fact, true kindness requires strength. The strength to say no, the strength to walk away, the strength to give without being drained. When you protect your peace, you don't become less kind, you become more effective, more intentional, more respected. So ask yourself honestly, where is your kindness being wasted? Who are you pouring into that never fills you back up? What parts of yourself are you abandoning to keep others comfortable? Start reclaiming your energy, one boundary at a time. Choose your yes with precision. Let your no be steady and calm. Observe more, react less. And most importantly, be kind to yourself first, because when your inner strength is intact, your outer actions carry quiet power. This isn't a one-time change. It's a daily discipline, a mindset you return to every time you're tempted to overextend or explain your worth. Use these lessons to build emotional self-respect, preserve your energy, and practice purposeful kindness, one choice at a time. And now, I invite you to reflect. When was the last time your kindness felt heavy instead of healing? Share your story in the comments. Your voice may be the one that helps another man stop being used and start living with dignity again. Kindness is not weakness, not when it's guided by wisdom, not when it's rooted in self-worth. Let it be your strength, not your undoing.